opening up. Here we go. Woohoo! Ready to roll. Admit everybody. Here we go. Look at there. Here we go.
Hey, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Good morning here in San Diego.
Happy Tuesday. Boy, somebody's reading. Look at your mind must be filled with so much wisdom in those books. Loves to listen or read or both books.
If I could get my students to read the books, that would be nice.
Let's put a challenge out today. What is one of the best books that you've read, let's say in the past, or listened to? Because I listen to a lot of books. I'm usually reading one and listening to one. But we want to empower people to be their absolute best, and to use their gifts. So what is one of the best books that you've put in the chat that you've read or listened to lately? I'll start, and while we're saying hi, trying to think what mine is. How about you, Desi? Have you listened to one lately?
Well, actually, I have, but and I just finished it last night. It was actually, I think it was James Patterson, and it was The Horsewoman.
That's perfect. Yeah, there ain't no shame in that game. That's awesome.
It keeps me awake while I drive home at night after class.
Sure.
On the way there, I study, and on the way back, I stay awake. All right.
Yeah.
So let's see. Got a few popping in there.
Oh, we got The Power of Habit. I did The Power of One More. We love power and habits, don't we? Because there is a lot of power in habits. First, you make your habits, and then your habits make you, right, Eric? If anybody knows that, it's Eric, right? Welcome.
Excited. Good to see everybody. First 90 days.
I'm super excited to have Josh on.
Yes. Super exciting. Got a few books. Good Nurse. Got a few good books coming in there. I actually was listening to one. I'm going to look it up. That's kind of a fun thing.
How to talk like you belong on a movie set. Ooh, that's interesting. Greg, can you just give us a quick 30-second share on that? What does that actually mean?
Tony Bill is the Oscar-winning director of things like The Sting and movies like that. And what it is it's a dictionary of film terms and on-set terms, and a lot of on-set etiquette. Like if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. Little things like that. Different kinds of lighting techniques, but a lot of it is actually just etiquette on the set. And it does a lot of, if you will, settling that first year blues and the first year trepidation that a lot of young filmmakers have. It's a great book. And whenever I teach a class on filmmaking, thank you, Desi, this is one of the recommendations I give. It's a great little book.
Love it. And Desi, do you remember when we went to that where we met out in New Mexico? And did you go to that cinematography class? Remember him? He was brutally honest about how drone pilots should act on set. You remember that?
Yeah.
It kind of scared me off because you got to know the language.
Yeah, but that's true of any industry. You need to know.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So, and
Never split the difference. Awesome.
It was good. It was really good. I liked it. Yeah. So.
High Five Habit. We got The Good Nurse, The First 90 Days. Awesome. Whoa, we got a whole book list here.
I guess. Definitely want to save the chat this time, don't we?
Wikonomics, how mass collaboration changes everything.
Great book.
Yeah, I love that. Good one. Thank you, Jennifer. Awesome. Okay, Desi.
Okay.
You guys can one comes to mind, put it in there.
All
Go
right.
ahead, Des.
So we do have some announcements, and we do have an amazing guest speaker today. So really quick, like, I do want to kind of go over some of the things that I wanted to share with you. First of all, I am going to put a link in there. We have another ticket to raffle off, but this time it's for the Drone Deploy Conference. I love Drone Deploy. I map with others as well, but I love Drone Deploy. So I'm going to put, as soon as I let Casey in, I'm going to put this into the chat so that if you're interested, here is the link to the Drone Deploy raffle ticket that we have. All right. So got that to talk about. And then also a couple little things that I just wanted to do maybe a shout out about. For one, if you're not a member for Women in Drones, I encourage you to be a member, but here's one of the cool perks. So if you're not familiar with it, we have a Facebook page that I'm going to put in here as well. We invite you in there. There's a lot of really great resources, little private conversations that are just for members for Women in Drones. One of the things that recently popped up in there, which is from Jennifer Pigeon. She has SMG has a safety workshop coming up. They gave an amazing discount for Women in Drones members. So I encourage you. Want to remind you though, you need to answer the questions, okay? Because you will get a couple of questions to be admitted. And so, and then I just want to do a shout out for Wing Expand. I don't know if you caught that, but they're actually here in Southern California right now. And they have joined TechStart's accelerator program. And so I just wanted to do a shout out for them, you know, because Michelle's been coming here. She's here with the Women in Drones as well. All right. With that, I am going to, yay, look at there, we got some woohoos, right? So with that, Kim, I am going to turn it back over to you. I'll let a few more people in, and if you would like to tell us about our guest speaker today.
I would love to. I would love to. I met Josh. I think, Josh, I met you like 4 years ago. I don't know how I came upon him, but I called him and I'm like, I think I found him on Facebook or something. And I called him and I said, you know, I want to ask you a couple questions. He's like, I only got a little time. 2 hours later, yeah. He's just such a wealth of knowledge. He's been in the business a long time. He's done a lot of educational support in California. You know, he flies in that area all the time. I learned a lot about the Los Angeles area and the challenges of flying in that area, which is I'm an East Coast girl, so that's no secret to you guys if you're up in that area. But I just love Josh. I've been wanting Josh to come on for quite a while. And I finally caught him at a time. I got him on the calendar and I caught him at a time. So for those of you who don't know Josh, he's the owner and for 10 Digital Media. And today he's going to talk to us about how to succeed with your drone business, ways to market your company, networking in the drone industry. Woohoo, we love it, right? Using social media to your advantage and understanding, for those who don't like it, understanding paperwork. So without further ado, Josh, you can kind of give them a little bit of your background. But I mean, Josh has been in the drone business, I think, for like 12 to 14 years. Is that correct?
No, but it's close. Okay. Like 11.
11, okay. 11, okay, there we go. It's all, after 10, it's all merged together.
We definitely got in early, that's for sure.
So much.
Well, thank you all. First of all, I caught some sort of a thing that's not COVID at the UAV Commercial Drone Expo in Vegas, and I've been like fighting this thing ever since. I'm feeling much better, but my voice is definitely not 100%, but I'm happy to be here. This is my team. That's Pepper. She's the assistant security head. This is Yogi. He's the head of security, and he's like the office teddy bear, frankly. Anyways, there's nothing wrong with him. He's really just this chill. He'll be... You want to know? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've been doing this a really long time, and I've got a lot of different niches within the industry that I'll talk about. I am happy to take questions as this goes on. That said, with this format, I can only see like 6 of you at the top, and I'm going to keep it that way. So if you have a question, maybe jump in. You can put something in the chat there. I'll see it as well. I am an educator as well as a lot of different things. As you can see, I'm a musician. I have a degree. I have a master's degree in music for jazz trumpet playing, which is the reason why I fly drones for work. Because the last time somebody paid someone to play the trumpet was a long time ago, and it just doesn't happen often enough or for the right amount. Although I saw Dave Matthews Band last night, and they actually had 2 trombone players they added to the band. I think it's the first time in a decade that 2 trombone players got paid for a job. But anyways, I am still a musician, and I play regularly. My company, 10 Digital Media, we do video production, audio production, and photography. And our slogan, I'll show you the shirts. Hi, guys. So with top down, did you read that from there? Top down, from the ground up. I need better jeans. I'm working on that too. Anyways, top down from the ground up kind of encompasses what we do, because we don't just do aerial work. We do groundwork as well. And of course, there's the pun of the top down. We're pretty much known for our drone work, although it really still encompasses about 50% of what we do. People will pay us really well to do videos on the ground with standard, traditional, I call it terrestrial video cameras as opposed to aerial video. And so we still do a lot of that. Thank you, Desi. I figured today, I do a lot of lecturing in the industry. Although videography, photography, mapping, and modeling is the majority of what I do. I really wanted to talk today about business, because I feel like there's a lot of people who are constantly asking me questions about how to have a successful business. And the reality is, whether you own a business that is a full-time drone business, whether you are a freelancer or you work for somebody else, there's still opportunity for you to work as a professional with your drone, with your own business, whether it is a sole proprietorship or whether you have an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, okay? All of us have the opportunity to make more money doing what we are doing with drones. So again, whether it's, if you have a full-time job, as long as you don't have a non-compete clause, you could do some side work. And most of us are not trained in business. I am not trained in business, but I've been doing 10 Digital Media was originally Josh Friedman Productions since 2008. And I have learned a ton about running a business and keeping a business successful between now and then. And I am an open book, and I'm going to share all of that with you today. Okay, not all of it, but how much time do I have, by the way? What's my cutoff time?
So you'll have up until 10 o'clock Pacific time.
10 my time. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I could do this for hours, by the way. So 45 minutes is a really good amount of time. I'm going to take a ton of questions as well.
When she says 10 o'clock, I mean, you get the hook.
I appreciate that.
I'm
Right.
sorry. You do.
That's 1 o'clock where you are, Kim. All right, so I've got 3 screens. I'm not ignoring you or getting distracted, although I do have adult ADD, but it pushes me forward every day. It makes my life a lot more entertaining. So I'm going to start over here. I'll show you my website. I'm definitely not here to promote my company at the moment, although I guess it's impossible not to when I'm wearing a shirt and showing you a website. But what I want to talk about here, I'll move you all over. Can I admit people into the meeting? Am I allowed to do that? I'll let you guys take care of that. Okay. So this is, I've got 2 websites up. This is my company's website here. And we're actually updating the entire thing as we speak. We're going to have a new version of this out in about 2 weeks. But it's going to look very similar, just new updated videos and photos. What I want to show you all is this section over here. And the recording stopped. Okay. Treat it as a small business. So I have all of the customer service of a small business, but I think like-minded like a large corporation, okay? My favorite company is probably Apple, for a lot of different reasons, like as far as just their success, the way that they function, the way they work, the way they market. And so I like to set up my business in the same way that Apple sets up their stores. And I think of everything that I offer to the world as a separate product. All right, I say this all the time to drone pilots. You need to be thinking about what you're offering as a product. So, for example, I have 3 categories of products that I offer. I have photography, I have videography, and then I have my aerial work, which does have some, obviously, videography, photography, 3D mapping, okay? These are all products that we create on a regular basis, which is why they go on the website. So I would highly recommend do not put things on your website unless they're things that you are an expert at and used to doing, and you have an entire process for creating. I see, especially early on with the 333 exemptions. Those of us that have been fighting the FAA for years and jumping through fire hoops, we remember this thing called the 333 exemption. And this was before 107. If you wanted to work commercially, you had to have this document from the FAA. And part of the 333 was you had to say what category you wanted to use a drone for. So you were getting permission to fly for video, fly for photo, fly for cinema, construction, whatever. Of course, at the time, we all got smart and we just listed 100 different things that we could possibly fly drones for, so that everything we could possibly do, bless you. I can't hear you, Eric, but I see you sneezing. So anything that we can possibly use drones for, we put into the 333 exemption, whether we were doing it or not. And then you would go to people's websites and you would see things like, you know, oh, we use drones for these 100 different things. And then you would ask the person, oh, can I see a sample of you using LiDAR on a drone? And they're like, we don't own a LiDAR drone. Well, then why is it on your website? Okay. So I recommend on your website, have just the products that you are offering. Okay. By the way, you do need a website. Websites are not dead. Every single job that I've gotten in the past year, the person went to my website to see what I do. And they want to see samples of your work and they want to know what it looks like. Okay. So I'll just jump in here real quick. I'm not, again, over promoting, but I just want to show you when it comes to the drone work. I have a section for videography that has samples of videos. There's a lot of variety here of what we do. So there is some real estate. There's some commercial real estate. Sports, events, legal work. There's a guy that was in the middle of a divorce and he bought a $10 million house on Lido Island right here. So the lawyers hired me to go show what the house looked like. It was the only one that didn't have a yacht, and it's right over here. Anyways, it's a cool video. And there we go. When it comes to aerial photography, and again, we're revamping all of this, but you get the idea. You have samples here. So again, I'm treating it like an Apple store. When you walk in the Apple store, in the front of the small items, right? You've got the iPhones, things that are less expensive. Then you go a little further back, there's the iPads. Then you have the MacBook Airs. You get further back, MacBook Pros. You get the further back, and you've got the MacBooks and the iMacs, okay? But they're on display. People could see it, they could touch it, they could feel it. I designed my website a similar way so that people actually get an idea of the different types of products that we offer and what it's going to look like when we come to shoot. It's a joke. It was like, thank you, recording. Selling a unicorn. You know, you would talk to construction people and say, hey, I'm going to create this ortho mosaic for you, and I'm going to create a 3D model with my drone. And there was a total disconnect as to what we were creating versus what they were using, how they were using it, what they needed. And so, I mean, I'm not going to show this video right now, but we have videos showcasing. I'll turn the volume down because it won't matter. This is what this thing looks like, and I've got a voiceover that goes along with some of this as well. You know, the voiceover is saying something like, we take hundreds of photos and we turn that into a 3D model so that you could see. This was instructions on how to get to my old office, by the way. We had a great office space before COVID. It's much better now that we're working from home. I'm saving a ton of money and everyone's happy. But this was how to get to the office video that we used a 3D model for. We have another one here that's legitimately just for construction, mapping and modeling. Because again, people don't understand what that product is. So if you could provide a way for them with your branding, you know, to promote what you do, there's our branding. This is an older drone that we haven't used in a long time. I'm selling that Inspire one if anyone wants to buy it. I haven't even decided how much yet. I've been too busy. But anyways, we take 2D images, it becomes 3D. Like this demonstrates it. This shows what it looks like. Okay? And I can just email this to somebody and say, look, this is what I'm talking about. This will give you an idea of what we're creating. So again, having all of your products organized on display. Again, we do videography, we do photography. Within photography, I do headshot work, I do portraits, product work, swimwear, events, real estate, maternity, newborn. Which, by the way, maternity and newborn, you always want to offer both at the same time. Because odds are, if someone's hiring you to do a maternity shoot, they're going to need a newborn shoot a few months later, you know? So bundling things together, you know, this is the drone world in here as well, okay? And I have weddings on here. If I'm at a wedding, I want to be drinking, not photographing. I do not like flying drones at weddings, and if I do, I am never flying during a ceremony. So I'll sub for somebody here and there if they want me to fly at a wedding, but I'm just gathering content before and gathering content after. Okay? All right, I'm going to go back to my face. Okay, so again, treat things as a product. Have samples of the products that people something different. It was exactly the way that we showed you what the product was going to look like. And then you can have a conversation. Do you want to change it? Do you want to not? And this leads me to my next topic, which is paperwork. I'm always being asked, can I admit somebody into the room, by the way, Kim? It's like there. Okay, cool. I'm always being asked what is the hardest part about working in the drone industry, and I have an entire lecture about paperwork in the drone industry. I probably spend a fourth of my day doing paperwork. And people are like, that sounds crazy. Like, why would that possibly be? Um, Reality is the good jobs, the jobs that pay really well, require you to have insurance policies, have certificates of insurance for them. Contracts, you got to deal with a lot of their contract versus your contract. Um, Having a really good insurance agent is a big part of this. Having a team that can help you with this is a big part of this. But we often need certificates with people's what's the word I'm trying to think of? Added name on the certificate. You know what I mean? It'll come to me in a second.
Additionally insured.
Additional insured. Thank you. That's it. You need to have the additional insured on the certificate. We always carry a $2 million policy. It's just cheaper for annual to have a $2 million on all of our active drones. Occasionally, we have to up that to 5. We had a job recently that we were working for a bunch of school districts right now, doing mostly ground video, but also aerial. These school districts in America right now are starting to require an abuse and molestation policy, which is insane, I think. But basically, if somebody accuses you of doing something wrong to a child on the school property, you're covered. And this particular company school district wanted us to have a $3 to $6 million abuse and molestation policy, which, if was even possible, which it is not, because I'm a video production company and not a school, would have cost about $15,000. Now, this was a $50,000 contract, so there's a balance there that I don't like to think about or deal with. But sure, if it came down to it, I would have paid $15,000 to make this $50,000 contract with them. They wanted 40 videos, so I sent my agent out. We spent the whole week stressing over this. We talked to literally 25 different retail insurance people. Nobody was able to get me a $3 to $5 million policy for abuse and molestation. And after a week of sweating, we asked them for a waiver for that, and the district waived it because we were able to prove that it just wasn't possible. And my company already has a $2 million liability policy that would have covered that situation probably anyways. Okay, but so insurance, paperwork, whenever we fly at the Port of LA, which we do a few times a month, we have to pay a police officer $480 to stand next to us on, I think it's Tinder, they might say Twitter, I don't know what they're doing. They're literally, they're ignoring us. I once landed the drone on the police car, just to, like the hood, an Inspire, just to see if the cop was paying attention. He thought it was funny. I don't know. Either way, we had to fill out paperwork for those police officers. We had to deliver the checks to the port in person still, because it's 1985. Like I have to have like a pony telegram situation to get out there. But no, I hire my nephew. I literally, like, he drives my checks to the port 2-3 times a month. It's totally obnoxious. So I spend a lot of time dealing with paperwork. That said, it's important. Every company must have a proposal document, a contract document, which mimics the proposal, but once you send a proposal, you then take that information, put it onto the contract. You have some legalese and some signatures. And then you have to have an invoice and you have to have a receipt. Those are the 4 documents that I am constantly dealing with. I used a template that I created for on InDesign that is also a PDF file. So oftentimes I'll just do the PDF and send it out. But I can't tell you, again, drones in business, how often I hear people say, my client, we spent an extra 3 hours on the job and now my client wants 8 more video clips. What should I charge them? And my response is, well, what did you have in your contract? What does the contract say? And if it wasn't in the contract, just write a new contract for that content, And of course, the response I get 90% of the time is, oh, we didn't have a contract. There was no paperwork, okay? And again, you're setting yourself up for a problem, and you're also setting yourself up for losing out on the better jobs. Whenever somebody wants a $5 million policy from me, it's a good day. It means we're making at least $2,500 to be there, and they are paying for that $5 million policy for a week, because that's the minimum amount of time that Global will do. So you get a week, and then you could use it for other companies. And not that I've ever double dipped and charged 2 companies with the same policy twice, but it's possible, right? Because they're requiring it, and it still takes me time to deal with and get them a certificate. So, yep, we've all heard this. I see a question here. How do you accomplish and keep up with what you do as a small business, big business mindset? Do you have a team? Yes. So I've always had an editor and an assistant. And then I've got about 15 people that work for me regularly, doing anything, again, because we're a full production house. So I've got lighting people, audio people, additional editors, camera people. I do have a slew of drone pilots in Southern California that I'll either bring with me or hire to sub out sometimes. It's definitely taking a village, but again, I'm telling you, my insurance person, my CPA, and my bookkeeper are like my three most valuable people on the team. You know, along with my editor and my I can hear somebody, along with my editor and my assistants. And
I,
Yogi comes with on all the
I
sheets.
can hear somebody in the background too, but I'm not finding anybody with a mic on.
Interesting. We're getting it's like
Sorry
it's like a radio
about-
show.
It looks like it's Delight. Somebody needs,
Someone's on a
can
frequency.
you, I can't mute them.
That's okay. That's okay.
They're the only ones that are on. Yeah, so Delight.
I do use QuickBooks as well. I have a bookkeeper I spend $2,000 a year for, and a CPA, and they communicate regularly. And I don't have to deal with any of that. It's pretty awesome. I just look at it, make sure it's right. They ask me about 6 times a month, what's this, what's this. I explain to them that I messed up and I took money from the wrong account to pay for my kids to go to something. I'll put it back. That's how my relationship is with my bookkeeper and my CPA. Very, very much worth that money because, again, and it's a tax write-off. So, you know, having a really good bookkeeper makes a big difference. We use QuickBooks Online, so I can always have access to it. It's also really important because sometimes I need to see my P&L sheet, profit and loss documents. Let's say I need a loan for something, or especially during COVID time, I was filling out all types of paperwork for grants, loans, and everyone wanted to see your P&L. I've never created a P&L sheet in my entire life. Again, I have a master's in music. But QuickBooks Online has an amazing P&L layout that you just literally click P and L, and then it shows it to you, and then you can doctor the numbers. Are we being recorded? No, I'm kidding. You don't doctor the numbers. And then you just send that on. And what? Pepper, she's like, I'm not hanging out with you. You're being dishonest. Okay, leave Pepper. She'll be back. So yeah, it's great to have people doing some of that work for you to focus on, you know, what we want to do, which is the creative side, dealing with everything else I'm about to talk about. Okay, paperwork. That's my spiel. Networking. I am always on. I am passing out business cards in bars, and not for the obvious reasons. I am passing out business cards in airports. When I'm flying, I sit on planes, I chat with people. I mean, when I went, again, perfect example, the Commercial UAV Expo, I was wearing, yep, you got one there. I was wearing my shirt that said Drone Pilot on the plane. And I was already meeting people on the plane on the way to the Commercial UAV Expo before I even left Orange County. I've done this for years. It's always been part of what I do, is promoting my company wherever I go in any situation. So when it comes to networking, I also highly recommend joining local chambers of commerce. I am spoiled and lucky that in Orange County we have about 30 different chambers of commerce that I can join. You don't have to live in the city of the chamber. So I've found the Irvine Chamber of Commerce to be the most active, the largest, the most productive by far. I'll talk more about that in a second. But there's also the Santa Ana Chamber of Commerce out here in Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce. I actually attend an Asian American Chamber of Commerce event once a month. I am not Asian, or I guess I'm American. But just like me being here with Women in Drones, I think it's important to be able to reach out to lots of different kinds of people. And I also try to promote as often as possible, be the only pilot in the room. So it's great to go to Commercial Drone Expo. That's a great networking opportunity, and there is opportunity to get work from that, especially localized. Oh, Linda's here. We'll let her in. Especially localized. So if some of you live in Florida and you have a client that needs a job done in Orange County, we like to be the go-to company, and I do get a lot of work that way from drone pilots all over Texas, New York, Chicago, and the world, right? That said, it's much, much better to be the only one in a room with a bunch of business people who have a need for video production, photography, aerial work, okay? So join local chambers of commerce if you can. I host luncheons for different organizations that have meetings. There's a Newport Beach Realtors Association. I'll pay for lunch for one of their meetings once or twice a year because we do real estate work out here. I have a product, it's $1,000. We do photos on the ground, photos inside and out, video inside and out, aerial, video and photos, and a 360 Matterport tour. It's $1,000. If you want us to come shoot the house, that's what we do. We do about 50 of them a year. So it's about 1 week. And that said, real estate where I live, the average home price I think is up to 1.2 million now. And so most agents have no problem spending $1,000 because they're making a minimum of 30. So per listing. You know, some of my agents only hire me for their larger listings. So if it's only an $850,000 condo, they won't hire us to do it. You know, they have another kid that just does photography. I know everyone who's not out here is like, are you, what? what? Yeah, it's a different world out here entirely. So that said, we also could fly 362 days a year because it only rains 3 days a year and we don't have winter. So there's a lot of opportunity in Southern California for sure. Any questions about networking? Otherwise, I'm going to move on to marketing. Okay, cool. Marketing is something that most drone pilots do not understand. Okay. I'm gonna call some of you out right now, and you're gonna be offended by this. If you have a yellow vest that has the letters FAA on it and does not have your company logo on it, you did it wrong. Okay? You don't work for the FAA. I have found that most Americans don't even know what the FAA stands for. If you went on the street right now and asked 100 people walking by, what does FAA stand for and what do they oversee? I think you're going to have about a 10% response rate that's correct. Okay? So everyone's like, no, oh, it's a federal organization. Nobody knows. Unless you're the IRS, nobody knows who you are if you're a federal organization. It's true. Everyone knows that one. Okay? So that should be a t-shirt. I'm going to make that a t-shirt. No, put your company logo on your vest. Put your company logo on the clothes that you wear sometimes when you're out at work. If you have a team of people working with you, you should be wearing some sort of uniform, even if it's a t-shirt or a polo shirt or jackets. So people know these are the people who are there with 10 Digital Media. This is the team. It's also helpful when you go to a place that you have to sign in. They just know, oh, you're with 10 Digital Media. You're the people here with this team. The other great thing about yellow vests, people, give them a hard time, whatever. One of my favorite stories, we were working an event for Santa Ana, the city of Santa Ana's 150th, and there was one open area that was completely cornered off by caution tape and cones, and I went up to the police officers and I said, look, I'm the drone team, do you mind if I set up over there? And the cop looked at me and said, dude, you're wearing a yellow vest, you could go wherever you want. Right? I mean, and it was like this eye-opening sort of like, wow, he's not wrong. Like, now I know, right? If I wanted to go rob a place, just wear a yellow vest. You could go everywhere if you're wearing a yellow vest. You could park illegally with yellow vests. Put cones in the back of your car. If you just put cones in front of your illegal space, no one's going to ticket you, right? They're just going to assume that you have a reason to be there. So, it just market yourself all the time. And marketing goes beyond logos, obviously websites. We do a lot of marketing in person. So I talked about real estate earlier. We early on, 7-8 years ago, we were going to real estate brokerages. I hired a sales guy, John Johnson. Some of you may know him. He did power line work for a while. He's a pilot out here. John worked for me just doing sales, and he would just set up meetings with me to talk to lunch and learns to real estate agents. And I was there to teach about safe, legal drone flight. But what I was really there to do was to scare the hell out of them, to convince them that they can't fly drones legally and that they cannot do it safely, so they have to hire us and should work with us because we know how to navigate the FAA and we know how to navigate airspace, and we fly safely and we have insurance and all this stuff that you don't have. So, at the time, if we talked to 100 agents, we might get 2 that hired us. And I can tell you to this day, every agent I'm working with came from that time. Almost about 20 agents we worked regularly. We met every one of them during that year and a half that we were marketing ourselves. Just doing lunch and learns for free, talking to people about safe, legal drone work. And why it would be really hard for them to navigate this airspace and do it legally. So they should really just work with someone who knows what they're doing. And so again, that then translated down to everything else that we do. Last thing I'll say about real estate, because again, it's a small part of what I do. Spoiler, agents don't need drone work. Okay, they don't. They need ground photos. There's a thing called the MLS. If they do not put photos of the home on the MLS, they get fined. The only thing that they need is photos inside the house and outside. Okay, real estate agents aren't selling the roof. They're selling the entire house. I ask, you don't have to raise your hand, but how many of you bought a house? Okay, the roof was probably your 25th concern. You want to know what the kitchen looked like, what the bedroom looked like, how many bathrooms does it have, what's the yard like, and then later you're like, wait, when was the roof redone? Okay, so that said, it should be an add-on. So whenever people come to me like, oh, I bought a drone, I want to do real estate, my first question is, what ground camera do you have? Buy the nicest SLR you could get a wide angle lens, offer ground services, make that a product, put that on your website, and use the drone as an add-on. Get yourself $250 to $300 to do photography on the ground, and when they say I want aerial, it's another $100 or whatever your market is able to sustain. Okay, so that's any specific yellow vest you should get. I see from Amy over here again, adult ADD, so keep distracting me. There isn't actually, but I recommend one that has a clear pocket in the front, because you can put your 107 in that. It's just a little tiny detail. Technically, we should have our 107 on us. It's nice to walk into a place and have the extra badge on there if anybody cares. Nobody does. I think it's like just one of those other professional sort of like thing in the head that nobody really cares about. But I have that. I also, clear pocket in the front. I also recommend talk to a swag person who could put your logo and your branding on it. So our vests, they're in my truck. They've got my 10 Digital Media logo on the front. They say Drone Pilot in the back with the O's of our logo, which we have t-shirts of as well. And that's all it says is Drone Pilot. And then my logo again on the back. And on the front, it just has the logo. And then there's a clear pocket where I can put the 107 in if I want to. I also recommend getting different sizes because if you're going to have teams of people or people working with you, buy 4 of them, and you'll have extras for people as they need it. We also do have hard hats. They have our logo on it for when we go on site. This gives us a little more credentials. When people are like, "Oh, do you have did you bring your own hard hats?" We do. We have our logo on it. Okay. I also go with yellow vest as opposed to orange because apparently some of you will know this more than me. Yellow is the supervisor usually on a construction site, and orange is the workers. So we went with yellow. We're always hanging out with the suits anyways, and it makes people wonder. So I don't know if that's 100% true. Go get pink ones. Honestly, I don't know. I like when I go into construction sites, and I hate to put it, but women are wearing the pink vests. I think it's great. They're just like trying to stylize their vest, and I think that's a good thing to do. And again, that's what this is about. It's about making it yours, branding it, marketing with it. Okay. I also, as far as marketing, we'll stay on marketing for just a little bit longer. Greg, let me get to your question in 1 second. I will get back to yours though. I've always taught at a college. Okay, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I've coordinated 3 national drone educators conferences. We put one together in 2015 when nobody was doing this, and as a result, $9 million has showed up for education in the state of California from people who were there and other colleges that I've been helping to create programs. And I've always taught at a college. I find that teaching at a college if it's one class, drone photography and videography has always been my class. I've literally taught at 6 colleges now. I keep kind of bouncing around as the need is there. It gives me a little more clout for my business. So I'm not just Josh Friedman from 10 Digital Media, but I'm also a professor at Coastline Community College in Newport Beach. It gives me students that can work for me as interns. It gives me students that I have employed as full-time employees over time. And it also has enabled me to follow a train of grant dollars that has led to over $1 million I've brought into my company over the past 6 years, just in education systems. Okay. And I realize that probably sounds like a lot, but it's been spread out over 6 years, and it's great to get that $50,000 contract, but if you're only making $5,000 a month, you need more than just that contract, right? Especially where I live, So, being in an education system, the colleges need videos and photos done, promoting their programs. Right now, we have 5 different high school districts because I've followed what they call strong workforce dollars. It's just like $1.4 billion for technical education in California right now. And all of those grants are allowed to have a marketing budget. And they don't even know what marketing is, those who are spending it. So I'm like, hey, we can make videos promoting how you spend the money. Not the most luxurious and glorious and not making Hollywood feature films. But I also don't have to drive to Los Angeles. I live in Orange County, by the way, which is not LA. Although I was in LA last night for the Dave Matthews Band concert at the Hollywood Bowl. Now I'm bragging, and it was awesome. But anyways, back to where I am. I'm in Orange County, and who's got their fingers on the button? The grant dollars. Okay, and marketing and networking come hand in hand in what I call planting seeds. So the people you're meeting today could be your clients 10 years from now. My largest project right now is a school district. The woman who got it for us is retiring this year. I have known her for 12 years. She's never hired me for a job. When an opportunity came up for her to promote her strong workforce programs that she's funding, they literally wrote 10 Digital Media into the grant. And they went to a company that could just hire us without having to get us approval through the district. So they're funneling the money through them. In the document, it says 10 Digital Media will be our video company. And again, we met 10 years ago. We've become good friends. She actually has grandchildren in the same school classroom as my children. It's really bizarre and weird, but so every time you go out and you pass out those business cards, you're wearing the shirt, people scan things, look at things, you have no idea where that's going to go. And you're going to get a call 5 years from now. Again, Kim called me, we talked for 2 hours. I very much remember that, Kim. My assistant after that was like, who were you just talking to? I'm like, I don't even know. This woman just called me named Kim, and we just talked about drones for 2 hours, And it's led to things like this, okay? So yeah, you just never know where those seeds are planted. Yeah, relationships, relationship building. The other thing is go to the trade shows. This has been my soapbox for a long time. I tell high school students and teachers three things that you could do to get a job right out of high school. One, go to trade shows in high school, and this is going to apply also obviously to us as professionals. Go to the trade shows. Try to be the only drone pilot in the room. Go to Photoshop Expo. You'll meet 3 or 4 of the drone pilots there, but most people are not drone pilots. Go to the Construction Expo. The largest convention in the United States of America every single year is a construction expo. And you will see drone companies that have booths there, and you'll see people walking around talking drones, if that's what your field is. If you're in agriculture, go to those shows, okay? You're going to meet people that will be able to employ you for something at some point in time. My second thing is spend a lot of time communicating with people on LinkedIn on a one-to-one basis. All right, I do think that LinkedIn is a bit of a cesspool of information when it comes to promoting small to medium-sized businesses. So I could literally put a post on LinkedIn every single day of look at 10 Digital Media and the amazing stuff that we're doing today, and nobody cares and nobody's really paying attention. But if I want to reach the CEO of Drone Up to see, hey, are you really hiring 650 pilots, or is this just BS like the last job that we all talked about? Sorry, did I just call out a company by name? No, I hope it's successful. Follow Drone Up. They had a really big presence at the Commercial Drone Expo. They claim they're hiring 650 pilots. I will believe it when I see it, and I hope that they hire all of my students to do delivery work for them. I do think the potential is there, but we'll see. But if I want to chat with the CEO of Drone Up, just go on LinkedIn, type Drone Up CEO, and if that person doesn't reply, type Vice President. Rate those people. And again, this is something I tell high school students because they're 16 and the CEOs might respond to them. And the response might be, hey, and you can meet me at a trade show one day, right? So it all kind of comes hand in hand. LinkedIn gives you access to people you would never have access to otherwise. We should all be utilizing LinkedIn for that. And then my third thing, which is going to be kind of a good segue into what's coming up next, is learn software. So learn new software all the time. Study software. Okay, Drone Deploy has already been mentioned once in this chat at the very beginning. If you are using Drone Deploy, I want you to prove to me that it's the best software for what you do. Okay, and if you can't do that, well then go do some research. You might find, by the way, that Drone Deploy is the best software for what you do. Okay, but if you haven't experimented with 10 different mapping and modeling softwares and 5 different types of drones for capturing your models, maybe there's something better out there that you don't know about. I know everyone's like, we don't have time for that. No, but honestly, this is what we did. Nobody was modeling and mapping 8, 6, 7 years ago. Okay, when we had 5 different drones, and we were going, okay, is the Inspire 1 the way to go? And we realized that it had focus issues because it had an interchangeable lens, right? And it wasn't always going to be in focus, even though we wanted it to be. And all of a sudden, the Phantom 3 Pro and then the Phantom 4 Pro, even though it's our least expensive drone that we fly, that's the drone for mapping for us. For what we need and what we do, that's what we use for mapping and modeling, the Phantom 4 Pros. Okay, I really hope something better comes out with a longer battery life soon, because I don't know, I'm not lazy, but I have to get up every 22 minutes to change the battery, and I would rather just fly our site on 1 battery, or maybe even 2. Okay, so learn software, constantly be learning new software, and most of it, I guess this might be a slight exception for our industry, but not apps on the phone. So when it comes to video production and photography, really get into professional products. Check out DaVinci Resolve if you haven't. We use Adobe products in my studio. So we're on Premiere, Photoshop, After Effects, Lightroom all day long. But learn software, learn as much software as you can. The more you learn, the easier it is to learn new software. There will always be new software. I remember a time joking, like if you told me I'd be using Adobe Premiere for professional video production, I would have laughed at you. Because Final Cut was the only thing that we would be using. And Premiere was like this light version of something that, you could use on a PC or a Mac, right? And then, Final Cut destroyed itself with Final Cut 10, and everybody was jumping over to this thing called Premiere because it also became a professional product at the same time. So, and now it's evolving and will continue to, okay? So learn software. Go to trade shows, go on LinkedIn. That's like 3 things I've been preaching for a decade now. Let's talk about money. Nobody wants to talk about money. Whenever I'm lecturing to high school kids in particular, and I love this, especially in underprivileged communities, which I talk to a lot here. Everyone, maybe if you've heard of Orange County, you probably think of it as like the housewives and the OC. And we do have that, by the way. If you want plastic surgery done, this is a great place to come to get it done. But that said, we have a lot of homeless people here, and we have a huge problem with impoverished communities in a lot of the communities out here. I live in Santa Ana. Okay, technically I am in an area called North Tustin because the people who don't want to associate themselves with the rest of Santa Ana. We even have our own tax bracket, not tax bracket, sales tax, which is lower than what they charge the poor people. By the way, that's where I live in North Tustin. Okay, because of our rich community, we kept it at 7.5, while the poor people have to pay 10. It's insane, but this is our world that we live in. I lecture to these students all the time. I try to help them with opportunities, and especially the Hispanic community. I ask these seniors in high school, how many of you know how much money your mom and dad make? And like almost no hands go up. I'm like, how many of you know how much your rent is where you live right now? And almost no hands go up. And then I go to Newport Beach at Newport Harbor High School, and I ask those students, how many of you know how much money your mom and dad make? Boom, every hand is up in the room. How many of you know how much your house costs? And then hand goes up, so I could just go on Zillow right now and I could tell you exactly how much my house costs, okay? Big divide in our world. People who have money talk about money and help people to make money. People who don't have money for some reason don't talk about it. So I am always open about talking about money. And I will tell you a few things about the drone industry when it comes to money. One, do not charge hourly. You're going to end up ruining yourself if you charge hourly, okay? Charge per product. So now we're back to products. And it's okay to charge different amounts of money to different industries for the same job. A perfect example is I do commercial real estate and I do residential real estate. It's the exact same job. I might spend an additional 30 minutes at a commercial property because it takes a little bit longer to walk the property. Or I might have 2 apartments or 3 apartments, the different models that we're shooting, okay, which we'll charge more for because there's 3 models versus 1. But basically, I'm making a 2.5-minute video. I'm delivering about 30 to 60 images, and I might be doing a 360 tour. Okay, it's the same job. I make $1,000 for residential. I make up to $5,000 for commercial. That commercial property might be selling for $300 million. Okay, it might be $25 million, right? The realtor is making a similar percentage on that a real estate agent makes on real estate. Maybe a little bit less as far as percentage, but there's a lot more money coming in. They have more money to spend. We've done commercial work for people who don't even have the listing, that's spending $50,000 to create what they are going to eventually create if they get the listing. And they'll do this for 10 different properties and they get 1, but it's a $300 million property. Okay, so they spent, right, 50 times 10, so you're spending $500,000. But when you sell a $300 million building, you're making $5-6 million on that sale. And then again, they've got $5,000 to spend on some videos and photos to a drone pilot who does groundwork as well. Okay, so it's okay to charge more money depending on industry and by industry. That said, try to keep it consistent. You know, with industry to industry. Obviously, if people get wind of what you're charging one person, you want to make sure it's a similar thing. Okay. Have your amount of money decided ahead of time. There's nothing worse than someone says to you, well, how much you charge for that? And you're like, let me get back to you. Because my company has already told them what I charge. They already have a proposal typed up, written out. Okay. I also always recommend give a la carte pricing for more than what they asked for. So if someone says to you, I don't know, I don't want to use real estate as an example. So let's talk construction. You know, we want a 3D model. Great. Your 3D model is going to be $500 for the 3D model. We will deliver it in these 2 file types. And by the way, if you want a 360 image right over the middle of the property, we could do that for another $100. Are you interested? And if you want it from 5 different parts of the property, it's only $200. You know, now they're interested, right? Maybe we want that. Maybe you want to see what that looks like in the 360 view all the way around. And if you guys don't do 360 photos, by the way, it's insanely easy. There's an app called Lychee. First of all, we do them manually. We used to do them manually all the time. Like you just literally just take a bunch of photos, click, 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 camera up, click, 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 camera kind of down angle, click, 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 and then straight down. Okay. Lychee is an app. It's $20. It has a function. You just click 360, go. It takes 28 photos. You import those into Photoshop, and you get a 360 image, and you can deliver that to your clients. Okay. It takes me about 30 seconds to create that file, and it takes me an extra 10 minutes on site. And we'll make $100 just to provide that image to the client. Okay, so always try to create an a la carte menu where you could give them more. I haven't heard the word in a while. Lychee. It's Litch. I don't think it's. Is that how it's spelled, Kim? Is that right? You're muted. Sorry.
I think so, but I just haven't heard somebody say that in a long time. I heard that a lot. Do you guys agree? I heard it a lot in the beginning, but what Thanks for bringing that back. I didn't even know it still existed.
It's been around for a while. For a while, it was like one of the best waypoint softwares that you could create. So,
Yeah.
my favorite example of this is some artists that will like go to a location that has seasons, which we don't have out here, but they'll do the exact same. They'll fly a path on Lychee, and Lychee will memorize that path and height and all the details. And then you go back in the spring, summer, and fall, and you hit go, and the drone will fly the exact same path all 4 seasons. And then you can make a cool video where it looks like the seasons are changing in real time, over a minute or whatever, right? Also, so it was great for creating waypoints and reflying those. But yeah, it's there you go, Fly Lychee. It was Litchi. Recording's back.
I think
So,
it was Greg, right, Greg?
I don't know why that happens. Yeah, I found it. Yes, Greg. Because Greg was asking about embroidery. So we don't have embroidery. It's print onto the vest. I thank you. You're bringing me full circle back. This is how my mind works, by the way, all the time. It either drives people nuts or it's really entertaining. I don't know which. But I mentioned joining chambers of commerce. So in addition to joining chambers of commerce, there are networking groups. BNI, Business Networking International, is something that I think exists all over the U.S. But there are programs like that exist. So the Irvine Chamber of Commerce, where I live, has something called Leads Groups. And it's the same model as BNI, where everybody in the room has a different industry. So I've got a lawyer, I've got an insurance agent, I've got a CPA, bookkeeper, people that do, real estate, commercial, loan people, a person. I am the video and photo person that's in the room, okay? So, again, be the only person in the room that does what you do with a group of people who need what you do. So we make about 40 grand a year. Sometimes we've made 50 just off of the people in that room. We are the go-to video photo team for everything they need. They recommend me to friends, and then I recommend them. Okay. So when it comes to swag, when it comes to vests, we have an Easy Up with our logo on it. We have the shirts that I'm wearing right now. I've got a mug that I'm not using today, but that I use. Pro Forma Element 7. Her name is Jamie. She's in my leads group, and she makes all that stuff for me. And it was one day I asked her about drone stuff. I'm like, just send me like a bunch of drone swag. And I literally got like 300 items. Anything from like pencils with like little spin wheels on the top to little squishy balls that were shaped like drones. She even made me a drone. I don't have the company drone. I jokingly call it the company drone. It's this little $100 drone. It's like a box, and you fold out the props, and it has your company logo on it. And we gave them away as gifts one year. There's 15 of them out there with our company logo on it that we gave to our top clients. They were $100 each. And you fly it with like an app on your phone, and it actually flies, and it has a camera on it for $100 with your logo on it. So Proforma Element 7. I should have her website to just like send to you right now, but I want to talk to you guys more importantly to promote her. But she gave me a list of like 6 different vests that we could buy, and did all the work for us. And she works internationally, at least nationally. All right, I have money I just talked about. So yeah, charge per project, charge per product. Offer more than they ask for. Try to get half the money up front, and don't be afraid to bill net 10. All right, so I get half the money up front, and then the other half within 10 days of the completion of the job. A lot of people require money day of. Some people can't do it. So some clients, and it's always the bigger clients, that can't do it. So they want net 30. That means they get it for you within 30 days. Okay, well, I started doing net 10. Basically, I just put the 10 dates from the invoice. 80% of the time, they send you the check within 10 days because they see a date that's due within 10 days. The other 20% they get back to you, say, we can't do net 10, can we do net 30? And then you just change the date, okay? But you'll get paid faster if you do net 10. I also highly recommend having a credit card company that works with you that you could bill using credit cards. We use something called authorize.net. Somebody was in my leads group for a while. They sold me on it. I charge 3% convenience fee for all credit card transactions. And that's in the contract. You could pay by check for no fee. You could pay by credit card with a 3% fee. It's much easier for them to pay by credit card. It's much easier for me to bill the invoice by credit card. I just type in their email address, the amount, 3%, send. And then if they don't send it within a few days, I just click resend. Excuse me. Then there's like a reminder, that comes out when they need it. So we've had clients before that say, look, I can't pay you for 60 days, but I could pay you with a credit card right now. Do you want the $8,000? Okay, we'll take it right now. Credit card's great. And in some situations, I've waived the 3% just because, like, if I can get the money today, I'll take it today. Okay. If it's $500, just send it to me whenever. I don't care, right? But you know, it just depends. But you'll have that option if you have a credit card company that you work with. All right. And then the last thing I have is equipment. We use the Inspire 2 with the X7 for real estate. Everyone's like, it's overkill. Maybe, but we charge $1,000. So you know what? We better have the best gear. I can't tell you how often people look at me and say, we've never seen a drone that looks like that before. You know, and then they tell their friends, and then they put you on their social media that day, right? Oh my gosh, look at the drone this person was just flying for my job. That's all it takes. You know, now I realize that a lot of us aren't, you know, in a world where we could spend 15 grand on a full Inspire setup, blah, 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 blah. But build up to that if you can, and make that your goal. Make that, you know, have the best equipment you could possibly have. When it comes to our ground cameras, we're currently using the Canon R5s. When it comes to real estate, I always use a 16-35 L series lens. So it's like a $1,600 lens. Okay, the lens I'm using for ground photos is worth more than most people's drone that they're flying. Okay, but the quality makes a huge, huge difference. Also, try to have a differentiator. What makes you different than everybody else? When it comes to real estate and a lot of our architectural photos, I have this technique where I do cutouts of windows. So I will, on the ground, not drone, take a picture of the room, exposed for the room where the window is totally blown out. And then I will take a picture where the room is super dark and only the window is exposed perfectly. And every one of those photos, I export in Lightroom first, and then I go into Photoshop and I cut out the windows manually. And I copy and you hit Shift-Control-V and it'll paste it in the exact same spot on the other photo. And then I make a slight adjustment so that it's not super saturated. And it looks a lot more professional. It looks like art. It makes people wonder, how was this created? How was this done? You know? I've got 3 minutes left. I don't know if I missed any questions over here or if anybody has questions. I hope I'm sharing things with you that others don't share.
Who's taking notes? Who's taking notes? Raise your hand if you've been taking
I see some people. I'm going to change my
There
feedback.
you go, Josh. We've got incredible value. You're taking notes. You're talking about the stuff that a lot of people, that's your experience that you bring to the business. That's why I called you 4 years ago. I don't know how I found you, but I'm like, I need to talk to somebody that's, and I just got off the phone. And I mean, it was kind of overwhelming because he has so much knowledge, but you know, now
I just don't shut up. That's the problem.
Right? So that's awesome. Yeah, great. Notes. We got notes galore, Josh.
Thank you. Before I get to Greg's question, I can't possibly promote Facebook enough, by the way, and have a procedure with how you respond to people on Facebook. So I will always know that there's a job in my area because I have 8 different people. I just see my feed. 8 people tagged you, tagged you, tagged you, tagged you. I'm like, great, there's a job. You want to be the first one to get to it. My procedure is I thank each person for recommending me individually because then the poster sees I have 8 different comments on their thread. I put my website, and then I message that person privately. We haven't met before, but my name is Josh Friedman. We have 8 friends in common that just recommended me to you. How can I help? This is what we do on our website. So we get probably, I don't know, 30, 40 grand to work a year off of just people who recommend me on Facebook to other people. Greg, what were you going to ask?
Comment. Talking to young kids about money is critical. And when you address those people in those lesser populations, you give them a window to the future. That's great advice. It's great advice. Yeah.
Thank you. Who else? Michelle's smiling. That makes me happy. Karen's
We're at the top of the hour anyway, right, Desi?
Yes, we are. Oh my gosh, this has been fantastic. There's just a floodgate of knowledge. You are awesome. And I know everybody, like Kim said, is just taking notes. It's been fantastic. I think I wore out the pen. I was writing so much.
Well, I just put my
Keep
email
that in mind, Josh. You got to do some classes. Come on, that's a whole nother thing.
It is, and we need to talk more about this because you and I had a chat. I'm going to be really blunt, and I don't want to end on a negative, so I won't. But I am not totally convinced that education in the drone space is a lucrative enough business that I want to make it another sideline right now.
I agree. I
have a few other things that I have in mind that I'm trying to do, and I just don't know if that's a sideline.
It's kind of early in the phase. I totally get that.
To be continued.
But
my email's in the chat. As you could tell, I'm an open book. If you want to follow up, if you all have questions, I'm happy to answer. It might take me a couple days to get back to you, but I will get back to you.
Thank you so much, Josh. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Very,
My pleasure. Thank
very
you all.
much.
Great.
So, real quick, don't forget to save the chat. Also, if you are a Women in Drones member, remember we have that raffle ticket giveaway if you want to sign up to try to win that. Josh, we can't thank you enough. Thank you for being such a wealth of knowledge. What a fantastic program today. Thank you. All right, don't
My
forget
pleasure.
to
Thank you,
save the
guys.
chat.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks again, Josh. You're the best. The man, the man.
All right,
See you.
bye
Have a great
everybody.
day.
See you next week. That kind of wraps it up.